Good morning, New York.
Good morning.
Good morning, New York. So far, and excited for the last day.
Today last day?
Today's the last day.
Oh
Yeah.
shoot. Okay.
This is the crowd that didn't party too hard last night. I was able to make it to our Sprite 9:15 panel. So thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate it.
We really appreciate you guys being here. I was like waking up this morning. I was like, I hope like some people attend. And I was telling my wife yesterday. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be talking to a lot of people. So thank you all for being here.
Yeah. So I'll introduce myself first, and then we'll go down the line. So my name's Ryan. I'm an engineer by trade, but also a first-time founder building in the NFT financialization space. I'm honored to be moderating our panel today. And why don't we go down the line, and you guys can kind of tell the audience what you guys do and what you do in the NFT space.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ryan. My name is Bryan. I'm the co-founder of Republic Crypto. I head the advisory department. And essentially what we do is we help bring token projects to market. So we work with all sorts of projects, including those in the NFT space, to really kind of galvanize our community, launch their token, fundraise if they want to, and help with like distribution and things like that. So it's a pretty full stack service that we provide. We also have a fundraising platform, and we also have a fund that invests in different projects. So if there's any up and coming NFT projects or founders out there, actually I know you're doing one. So I just found that out today, and I'm really, actually you are too. So yeah, I think if anybody else is doing any cool projects in this space, I'd love to hear about it. Republic is really a platform to democratize access to investing in general, and Republic Crypto, which is my team, specifically does that for Web3.
Go ahead, I'll let you.
Yeah, thank you, Hassan. Let me just quickly poll the audience. Can everybody hear Hassan? Or should I make him eat the mic a little bit more? Maybe hold the mic a little closer, because I think Hassan has a really cool background that I want to make sure that we dive into, and also that the audience can hear, because I'm really excited to unpack some of the stories that I know you have. So the panel today is kind of twofold. It's serving the bottom billion, and it's also how to evaluate NFTs as an investment class. And I'll let Bryan speak for himself, but at least personally, I'm much more comfortable with the second half of that topic. So I'll be able to ask prodding questions, but I'm really going to need you guys to speak to the first half if you have that piece of experience there. So let's start off with a bit of a softball, and we'll just talk about NFTs as an investment class. So let's start with this. What advice would you give to a prospective NFT investor, either first time in the space or somebody who's still just kind of getting their feet wet? What would you tell them to look for as somebody who's interested in NFTs as an investment vehicle? We can go down the line.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we get this question quite often, especially because NFT is such a retail-facing product, and a lot of retail investors, especially post the GameStop days and Wall Street Bets days, are trying to figure out ways to maximize their investment. And the biggest piece of advice that I give to people is NFTs really shouldn't be treated like an investment. I know, a lot of them are making a lot of money these days and things like that, but really, NFTs should be treated as either a piece of art, depending on what it is, honestly, but some of them are artistically valuable, some of them are valuable due to the community that they provide, some of them are valuable due to the access or the perks that they provide. So you really have to be bought into that value proposition of the NFT that you're trying to purchase, and then determine whether or not it's valuable to you. Therefore, if you purchase it and it goes to zero, it still provides some value. Really, you're trying to hedge off of like what the worst case scenario is, and given the state of the market today and what we've seen in the past, the worst case scenario can very much happen in many projects. The other piece of advice, this is like much more practical, is for people that are looking to actually invest in NFTs, like if you really wanted to invest in NFTs, really look at the community and be a part of the community. And what I mean by that is go into the Discords, go into the Telegrams, go DM the founders, hit up their Twitter, and see how active they are. And if they're not active, and if there's not responses from the founding team or any leadership in the community, then it's probably not worth buying at the time. So just a quick, simple metric for those that are looking to buy a new NFT project, definitely look at just the activity in the community around it, because the majority of NFT projects really depend on the strength of the community. I know that's very kind of targeted at like these PFP NFT projects that are popular these days. Of course, NFTs can be applied to many other things, but I'm assuming that's kind of what the question was directed at.
I think that's a fair answer, because I think a lot of people that are going to be coming to you for first-time advice are going to see NFTs and think PFP projects. So I think that as part of that first piece of advice you give to somebody, I would educate them on what you can do in a PFP with a PFP project, but also let them know that NFTs are more than that, and expose them to other kinds of investments in the NFT space that might be evaluated separately, like utility NFTs. Hassan, I want to kick the question over to you, and I'd love to ask.
My advice
Yeah,
is
go ahead.
to verify, then verify, then verify. And
Is there a fourth step?
And as a person that had a physical art gallery, we used to do a lot of verification, not just on the artist himself or herself, but on the actual physical piece of art. We would, if it was a statue, we would get the weight. If it was a painting, we would do the dimensions and the material and the type of, even the type of frame that it was on. And it was funny, about 3 months ago, someone asked me to verify a painting that was purchased from my art gallery. And I didn't look at the front of the painting because I can't tell. I mean, we sold so many paintings that it's useless for me to look. I can tell it's the artist, but I'm not sure. If I said flip it over to the back, and in the back I could tell the handwriting that went into the ledger and the number of the artist that I can verify, and the particular stamps and the particular dates that were on it, and just the back alone, which is kind of like the metadata that you see. And NFTs could be music, but like I said 6 months ago, you don't need to be a coder. You have to have it as a Ricardian contract so that you know the actual rights. Because what you're buying, you can enjoy art, purchase it, enjoy it, and sell it even for profit.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't buy art and make it into a T-shirt or make it into a hat and monetize it unless you have the explicit written consent of the artist.
Right.
And that price alone changes, which is why you see some of the NFT artists that are out there, they might do drops, but then again, they're minting about 10,000. And then all of a sudden, it depends on the rights that they're giving. But
Right,
we'll continue with the NFT subject, because I think NFTs are more than just art. Yesterday, I was at Soho and went to about 6 or 7 different art galleries that were trying different types of methods. Really nice places, actually. Methods of previewing the paintings. And it really, I mean, broken pixels are different than something that's very clear. And you could tell there's a difference. And in my art gallery, rule number 1 was never tell the person what to buy for an investment. Just let them go into the art gallery. I always advise people, buy something that you enjoy, because you probably have to live with it. Don't come in with a mindset that I'm buying this so that I can make an exorbitant profit from it, unless the artist passes away something, or his works are rare or something like that.
Isn't that what we're all here for, exorbitant profit?
We are, but you have to be realistic.
Of course. I'd love to double down, Hassan, real quick, and ask a flavor of this question, but specifically tailored to the bottom billion. So what would you say to somebody from a developing economy, someone who's unbanked, and they're looking at NFTs as a method of growing their financial wealth? What would you say to them, and how would that be different?
I've looked at that, and getting them to be included into the market. They might give up more rights, and they might have the raw talent to be able to come into the market itself. So in a way, getting the unbanked and underbanked to be included in with the financial, let's say the global financial system, would get someone, let's say that could paint, or that could do a sculpture, or that could sew, to actually be able to use the marketplace and to use the internet, let's call it, or Web 3.0, to be able to put their items on a server.
Yeah.
And you can have it in New York City, and and get it delivered here by the various companies. And in a way, again, you have to have a Ricardian contract, and you can have it digitally, and then you can print it here. You don't really need to physically get it. But what I noticed in this conference today is that everybody's gone back to the NFTs. You can get them physically. This is an NFT artist where you can get a necklace. This is a person that designs sneakers where you can get the sneakers. So what I noticed in this year's event is that they're going back to the physical items where it's not just something that's in a digital sphere, but I've seen some of the booths that they want the actual physical, either necklace or a sneaker or other items. I'm sure.
Yeah, I feel like it's quite the trend, especially this year.
Yeah, clothes and hats and a whole bunch of other things.
I like the point you made though earlier about how people in developing countries can leverage NFTs and the open marketplace that blockchain enables to be able to monetize off their art in an area where typically they won't have access to such tools. So for example, call it some third world country, and you have a child or a student or something that they love to make art, but they don't have a marketplace in their country because there's no infrastructure. But crypto provides that infrastructure. You can literally just create your art, upload it somewhere on OpenSea, which is accessible as long as you have internet, and then you can start making money as an artist, no matter what your background is, which is extremely powerful. And I think that kind of addresses this, how do we leverage kind of blockchain technology, call it DeFi, call it NFTs, whatever, to serve people that are typically underrepresented or don't have access to financial tools. And I think that NFTs are such a huge boon for artists that have historically not been able to monetize off their art very, very well. So being able to just put your art up somewhere, and if somebody somewhere out there on the internet thinks that your art is super dope, and then they promote it on their Twitter, then your art can now be worth like thousands of dollars, and that is like beyond the wildest dreams of any creator in any third world country.
Yeah, but I've dealt with artists, and some of them have called me to represent them, and I'd rather not deal with it, because for them to call me in the middle of the night and say I lost my private key would just be a nightmare. So they have to have the technical capability to actually to be able to handle it, because otherwise.
Right, but I think like to that point too, though, the technical capabilities are, if you are hungry enough to learn it, the information is actually out there. It's not gated by anything. So it's not something that's you have to go to college to learn. You don't have to go to a class somewhere. You just go online and you read and you figure it out, because it's all on the internet. And that kind of access, that democratized access to knowledge and financial instruments and a democratized access to make a living is like such a huge breakthrough.
Yeah, I think this is a good segue into the next question I want to ask, which is, what role do marketplaces and other portals into the NFT ecosystem, what role do these tools play in helping users make informed decisions about the investability or about the price or about the utility of NFTs? What role does, say, OpenSea play in informing me, the first-time NFT buyer, about what my investment potential and my risk exposure is when I buy certain NFTs? What do you guys think?
I have an answer, but I feel like you might have an answer as well. So I know you've been asking all the questions, but I do want you to be able to say.
Why don't you start, and then I'll bounce off of you.
Sure. So I think that these marketplaces, it depends on the marketplace as well. So for example, OpenSea kind of has this reputation for not really a curated marketplace, but more of a Craigslist-style marketplace where anything goes. I do think they do have some level of responsibility to get rid of fraudulent collections and make sure that there's authentic, verified creators, and that the collections that you buy have some sort of guarantee that they are what you think they are. I know that might be a heavy ask given how sneaky the Web3 community can be, but I do think that I would hold something like OpenSea responsible for something like that. There are other NFT marketplaces such as Super Rare or Maker's Place, I believe. They're a little bit more curated. So those ones are less like accessible to everyday creators. But if you're kind of a more well-known, established artist, maybe some of the artists that are in your collections, then they would be on these kind of like higher tier marketplaces where users will go to be like, okay, I know that somebody with some level of refined taste has put up a collection of art here, so I will go here because there is some kind of pre-vetted artwork, which is in contrast to OpenSea. But I do think both of these marketplaces should play a role in verifying collections, as well as kind of providing some level of consumer protection in terms of if they purchase the wrong one or something like that. Like they should at least be warned, or there should be some roadblocks. And I don't know how to actually enforce that, because at some point you kind of go up against this like immutable Web3 open access problem. So I know it's still an open question.
Yeah, I think that's a really good answer. And to share a couple thoughts, I think that I would like to see these portals into the Web3 space, into the NFT space, like OpenSea, and even portals like MetaMask or whatever you're using to manage your private keys, take stronger ownership in protecting their consumers from not just things like scams, but also helping to inform our first-time NFT buyers, newbies in the space, that, hey, this DeFi protocol that you're aping into, you might lose all your money in this. Like, just a quick acknowledgement of the risk. I think that we in the space are really nervous and hesitant to introduce what might be seen as like firewalls around DeFi protocols. We don't want the open source tools that we're using to say, hey, don't ape into this yield farm or whatever. But I think I would like to see the space evolve in a way where MetaMask or OpenSea can offer something like the equivalent of Google Safe Search, where they say, hey, if you're new and you want some safety rails, enable these safety rails and we'll help you make good decisions. But if you want just complete autonomy over your money and you want complete financial independence and you don't want us to hold your hand at all, disable it and you can do whatever you want. And that's something that I think OpenSea and these portals could do to help ease people, help them transition into the space so that they don't get burned too early. Hassan, do you have anything to add or any thoughts?
I'm just a little tired of all these different platforms saying I'm just a marketplace.
I agree.
I think they should take more responsibility.
I'm only a technology provider. I'm not responsible
I
for
agree.
anything.
Exactly. So I think the people that will take responsibility are the ones that will get the business in the
I
future.
agree. I was listening to a panel the other day, and I won't say exactly who it's by, but someone from a wallet software company basically said, if you sign that transaction and you don't know what that transaction is, that's totally on you. And there's a follow-up question where someone asked, well, what can I do to help protect myself from scams and from iffy DeFi protocols? And the suggestion was learn Solidity. And I think that's horrible. I mean, I write code, and even I don't like writing code or reading code sometimes. Like, I don't want my mom to do it. And so I really think that these portals should own that a little bit more. Okay, let's transition a little bit. We've got 4 minutes left. I want to cover one more topic. So here's something I think is interesting, and I want to ask you guys about, which is, what do you guys think of appraisal as a service in the NFT space? I think we're seeing a couple different projects come out that are trying to offer API-gated appraisals for NFTs to either marketplaces or directly to consumers or wherever they're needed over the ecosystem. What is the future of appraisal as a service? Where is it, going to be used? And my bigger point here, my bigger question is, can we trust this service? Is it something that you would tell your friends or your mom to go look at? Like, hey, just go to this appraisal service, see what they tell you is the right price for this NFT, and then go do whatever they say. What do you guys think?
I'm going to really defer this question over to you in a sec, because I know you have a lot more experience in actual art. But my take on appraisal as a service for NFTs is, I don't trust it yet. I don't think I will trust it for a while, but I do think I will trust it later when there's enough data. So NFT collections are very nascent, but I do think it's possible to, with enough data, figure out some factor of floor price, community activity, pricing, trading volume, velocity, and all those things. Then you can maybe have some level of appraisal, but a very kind of like a minimal, like, okay, like it's worth at least this much kind of appraisal situation than a, hey, your NFT is worth this much and you can like collateralize a loan against it. Like, I don't think that we're there yet. I would like to see a world in which we are there, because I do think NFTs being a digital asset can be leveraged for digital financial like DeFi activities. And I do think that people that have say you have a Bored Ape or you have a Beeple and you want to collateralize that for a loan for something, like that should be possible. I do think that should happen. I just don't know if maybe an automated API gated appraisal would be the answer today. But that's all I kind of have to say. I really want to hear what your thoughts are.
I mean, it both goes for the unbanked and underbanked in DeFi, and also for appraisals. Is you need an insurance product, and I've been looking for an insurance product because insurance is appraisal. You can't get something insured that you know is a total loss. There's no way any insurance company is going to insure something that's on a flood line, and at the same time, there's no insurance company that would insure a piece of land that basically will never be lost, because even if you burn it, it'll still have the same value. So getting the insurance industry to come in will help a lot. And it's been very difficult to get insurance companies. I think I ran into a group with ION, I think ION or something like that. It was a consortium of about 60 companies in Dubai. But they were insurance brokers. They weren't, and they were not willing to insure NFT art, because they say, what if you lose your key? What if you sell it to someone? What if you... But they haven't understood it yet. But once you get the insurance, then you get the appraisal.
Got it.
That's my quick answer.
Thank you, Hassan. And I'll kind of wrap up with my own concerns about appraisal as a service, which is wash trading, which is something we didn't really get to talk about much, but I think is something that's really interesting and we should all be thinking about whenever we consider the price of NFTs. And that I think some estimates are as high as 30 to 40% of traffic on NFT marketplaces is wash trading. So what does it mean if I can buy and sell a bunch of NFTs to myself, artificially increase the volume of transactions for a particular NFT project, and then hike up the appraisal by these third-party services? And that's something I think we should be terrified of. With that, I think we're about out of time. So just wanted to say a quick thank you so much to our panel for a wonderful discussion. Thank you to everybody who came out to see us, and have a great rest of your conference.
Thank you.